In this video, I'm going to see how much I can raise my FTP in just 15 days. That did not go according to plan, and not in a good way. So here's the schedule. For the first 6 days, I'm going to train twice a day. The first ride of each day is a base ride or zone 2 ride for 2 hours, and the second ride will vary. On day 1, the second ride is a 1-hour threshold ride. On day 2, the second session is weightlifting for 1 hour. On day 3, the second ride is a 2-hour base ride. On day 4, the second ride is 1 hour threshold. On day 5, the second ride is 1 hour of VO2 max intervals. And on day 6, the second ride is a 2-hour base ride. Day 7 is a 3-hour tempo ride. And after that, I have 2 days of rest followed by the FTP test on day 10. Now I know what you're thinking. The original plan was to do it in 10 days, but I had a problem on the 10th day that caused me to have to push it back. So make sure you stay tuned to see what that was. Now that you know the schedule, let's start the challenge. Ride 1, day 1. We got base for 2 hours, 130 to 135 heart rate. I don't really know how much I'm gonna put in these base rides because 2 hours of base in a neighborhood isn't really all that entertaining, but we'll see. Base ride is done. Average heart rate was 136. Primary benefit was base. Let's move on to activity number 2 of day 1. So for the second ride of day 1, we have 1 hour threshold. So that's 160 to 170 heart rate. My legs are feeling pretty good right now, but let's see how they're feeling at the end. Yeah. Oh yeah. To say that was hard is an understatement. Because that was hard. We are back on the bike for another base ride in the neighborhood. 2 hours, 130 to 135 heart rate. Legs are feeling good from yesterday, so that's a good sign, but we'll see how we're feeling tonight. Finished the base ride, 2 hours. Average heart rate was 131. Primary benefit base, so right where we want it. I'm already thirsty, so I'm gonna get some water. Now I have about a 1 hour weightlifting session. I have 5 exercises planned. The first one is 3 sets of 10 to 12 Bulgarian split squats. Then I did 4 sets of 8 to 15 regular squats. Now I like to stick my feet out like this. It feels harder on my quads, but this is not necessary. Next I did 2 sets of 12 step-ups. Then I did 4 sets of 10 to 12 deadlifts. I normally use dumbbells, but occasionally I use the bar outside. Finally, I did 2 sets of 12 to 15 calf raises. Weight training done. I'm currently sitting in a chair right now because my legs are pretty tired, but we'll see how I'm feeling tomorrow. So, on to day 2. Or is it day 3? Man, I just started this challenge and my brain's already messed up. It is now day 3. We are back on the bike in the neighborhood for another zone 2 ride. 130 to 135 heart rate. Legs are feeling good from yesterday's weight training. A little bit sore, but not too bad. So let's finish this.
2 hours later.
My legs felt surprisingly good despite yesterday's weight training. My calves were a little bit sore, but other than that, feeling pretty good. So tonight is another base ride for 2 hours. Same thing I just did now, so let's head on to that. We're back on the bike with another 2 hour zone 2 ride. Feeling pretty good, a little bit tired, but just finished the base ride. Got 134 average heart rate, right where we want it. I'm pretty tired now and I'm absolutely starving, so I'll see you in the morning. We're back on the bike again for day 4 with another Zone 2 ride. Today I am on the stationary bike because it is crazy hot outside. So I'm gonna take a break from melting to death and do both sessions on the indoor bike today. But we're about to do another 2 hour Zone 2 ride, 130 to 135 heart rate. Legs are definitely getting pretty fatigued. Last night, during the last couple minutes, I was pretty taxed, so we'll see.
One eternity later.
Just finished the base ride. I felt surprisingly well, actually. In fact, I pushed an average of 20 watts higher for the last 30 minutes than I did for the first 30 minutes. That is the power of base training, ladies and gentlemen. But I still have a lot to do. In fact, I am only halfway through this challenge, so let's head on to tonight's session. We're back on the indoor bike with another threshold ride. That's 160 to 170 heart rate. I don't actually know how I'm going to feel for this. I felt really good this morning, but I guess we'll see. So let's do this.
A few inches later.
Just finished the threshold ride. I can definitely feel my legs are fatigued. I felt it the second I started pushing hard. Still feeling pretty good, still feel like I have a lot of energy, so that's good, but we still have a long way to go. So I'll see you tomorrow morning. Today is a 1.5 hour base ride. I am on the trails this time. I'm feeling pretty good still, which is a good sign, but we are not done yet. I'm skipping that today. Just finished another base ride. We did it on the trails this time. Felt pretty good. It was super hot, but still felt pretty good. So let's move on to tonight's session. We're back on the stationary bike with 6 4-minute VO2 max intervals. This is possibly the hardest session I have for this whole challenge. And doing it super late is going to be very difficult, but we'll see how we do.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
If you don't look like this after a VO2 max ride, then you didn't push hard enough. Still felt surprisingly good though. So that's good. But that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. It is day 6, and for today's first session we have another 2 hour base ride. Once again, 130 heart rate to 135 heart rate. Legs are feeling really good, energy's feeling really good, so let's do this. Just finished the 2 hours of base, felt really good, my power was really good. In a couple of hours, I'm gonna have to go back again to another 2 hour base ride. Same exact thing, so let's head on to that. Here we go, base ride number 2 of day 6. We are almost done with this challenge. We only have one more ride tomorrow. Super excited for that. And then I finally get a rest day. But first, let's get this base ride done. Just finished the base ride. Definitely was a little more tired this time. Power was a little bit lower, but not too much. Still felt pretty good. So we have one more ride in this whole challenge before I finally get to rest. So let's head on to day 7. We're down to the final ride out of this challenge. I just have one 3-hour tempo ride. That's 150 to about 155 heart rate. I'm doing this On the indoor trainer, I did not originally plan for that, but right now there is a pretty big tropical storm that's directly over us, so riding on the actual bike outside is not gonna happen. So we gotta do it on the indoor bike. It's gonna be a little painful, but it is what it is, so let's do this. 3-hour tempo ride is done. That was definitely really long. That took pretty much all the rest of the energy I had out of me, which is fine because it was the last day. So the first 2 hours felt really good, but the final hour I definitely was getting tired. The last 20 minutes were pretty brutal. But now we have that done, let's move on to 2 days of rest. Here we go, we're down to the last ride out of these 10 days. It's a 1-hour FTP test to see how much I actually improved. I just finished 2 days of rest, so feeling pretty good, nice and recovered, but we will see how this goes. First, I actually have a 10-minute warm-up, so let's do that. Warm-up done, let's do the actual test now. Once again, 1 hour, about 160 to 170 heart rate, probably. It's gonna be tough and painful, but let's do this. That did not go according to plan, and not in a good way. Long story short, my heart rate was abnormally high. My plan was to push my heart rate up to 165 beats per minute as fast as possible. That way I can maximize every second of the test. When I got my heart rate up to 165, I eased off the gas, but my heart rate still kept climbing. I saw that and I thought it was a little weird because I didn't feel like I was pushing that hard. My legs felt good and I wasn't breathing that hard, but my heart rate still kept climbing up all the way to 177, and 177 is really high and hard for me to get even when I'm sprinting. Believe it or not, this is not the first time this has happened. That was terrible. I felt horrible. I didn't feel horrible just because the test is hard. I felt horrible from something else. So, in other words, I bombed the test. That clip was from this video where I took the 20-minute FTP test and I had very similar symptoms. So what was the cause for this result? There are two things that I think could have happened. Number one, I could have been fighting some illness as my brother was sick at the time. Or number two, after 2 days of complete rest, my body was not ready to go from 0 to 10 intensity even after a warm-up, shocking my system. Now, I'm not saying that recovery days are bad. Having good recovery is super important. However, going from 0 physical activity straight to the highest possible intensity behind the race itself doesn't seem to work for me. Now, that is just my thoughts. I cannot pinpoint the exact reason for the cause of this result, but I do know that it is not fitness related because the last time this happened, I retook the FTP test a couple days later and got a way higher result with no symptoms. So, change of plans. I'm going to be extending this challenge from 10 days to 15 days. I'm going to put some hours on the bike, get some training. Hopefully whatever's going on flushes out and I can have a good, proper result. So I'll skip forward to day 15 because the rest is boring. Here we go again, take number 2 with this hour-long FTP test. Let's actually get this done properly this time. I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm gonna shoot for around 260 to 270 watts. I feel like that's a decent goal. But we'll see. All right, let's get into this 10-minute warm-up. All right, warm-up done. Let's do the actual test now. Here we go. Coming up on the first 5 minutes, feeling pretty good, but then again, it's only 5 minutes. We still got 55 more to go, so it's gonna be a long test. First 10 minutes, still feeling pretty good. Average power is 278 right now, so right where we want it. I'm expecting that to go down a little bit, but if we can keep it above 270, that would be amazing. "20 minutes done. Average power is still 278, so that's good. We'll see how much longer I can keep this up. "30 minutes. We were halfway. Oh gosh. This is really hard. "10 minutes left. Come on." Yes. Oh. Oh gosh. Wow. I finally got a good outcome. I averaged 272 watts for the full hour, giving me a FTP of, well, 272 watts. Which is actually a lifetime PR. Now I want to mention that not everyone can get this much of an increase in their FTP in such a short time. The likely reasons why I was able to is because number one, I came into this challenge detrained. I was nowhere near peak form and I had a lot of fitness to make up. Number two, I am young and still growing, so my body can make improvements a lot faster. So yeah, one way to increase your FTP is to add volume. And I put emphasis on one way because this is not the only way you can do this. But I will not get into that because that is an hour-long video on its own. But that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one.